Wheeler. Okay, the time is a minute right before 8, and joining me right now is a really, really amazing dude. His name is Vincent Tsitshuka. I hope I pronounced that properly. Vincent is a former or ex-Northcliff High student who currently plays his rugby for the Golden Lions, and he'll be joining me in short, just to briefly chat about, his journey through rugby and how he went from being a ballroom dancer to being a flank for the Lions. Vincent, hi, how are you?
I'm well, thanks to yourself.
I'm brilliant. I'm brilliant. So that's exactly where I'm going to start. These two, there's no combination whatsoever. How does one, begin from being a ballroom dancer to being a flank for a Super Rugby playing team? Tell me more about that. Tell me about that transition. How did you go about it?
I danced a lot growing up.
Yeah,
I did ballroom, I did hip hop, I did a little bit of everything, and
yeah.
it was a massive passion of mine. At the time, I was actually a soccer player before I even thought of joining rugby. I was a soccer player at the time. And
You played soccer.
yeah, I was my
What position? What position did you play?
I was a goalkeeper.
This you're so full of surprises. So from goalkeeper to ballroom dancer to flank.
Exactly that. Exactly that. I had a fair taste of a little bit of everything.
Okay, so you discover rugby. When is
Yes.
this? How did it come about?
I attended Northcliff High School, which didn't have soccer as an
Yeah,
option of sport, and but I enjoyed doing sport as a whole. So I was looking for a team sports that I could do with my mates, and rugby was the next best thing that at least suited my body type and physique, and which I thought was interesting. You know what I'm saying? So I joined rugby in grade 8, and I gave it a shot. And I've always enjoyed it. It's always been a team thing. You know what I'm saying? I love doing it because I was always with my friends. So that's how I grew my love for the game.
okay. You started playing rugby, a bit late in your life. I think you were 16 when you started, right?
No, I was 14 at the time.
You're 14. So how was that for you? I'm sure you had some moments where coaches who could not really understand what this guy is just doing on the field there. How was that for you starting rugby at that late stage? Because in SA, most kids start rugby in primary school. You started in high school when you're 14. How was that for you, and how did the coaches kind of take it?
Yeah, no, it was definitely a factor.
Yeah,
Me in grade 8, and from actually my first 5 years of rugby, from about under 14 to under 18,
yeah,
I didn't have a natural understanding of the game. So I knew the basics. I knew what their coaches wanted from us and everything, but I didn't have a natural awareness nearly of the game that
yeah.
comes with time and experience. So and what didn't it didn't make it any better that I didn't watch rugby either. So I never watched any rugby. I was still watching soccer and watching my team Chelsea
Yeah,
do their thing. So for me, that was one of the hardest things because catching and running with the ball that you can get quite quickly. But having
yeah,
a general awareness of when to make good decisions, when to pass, when to not, you know what I'm saying. That was what took a little bit longer to come, and that's where
yeah,
you'll see the difference between guys that have been playing for 10 years compared to
yeah,
someone that has started.
yeah.
Yeah.
You made your debut in 2019 March against the Jaguares, right? How was that experience for you? Just a young lad, fresh from Northcliff, and then you make your first Super Rugby debut. How was that memory for you?
It's fluff. It's like none other. It was absolutely amazing. Every single moment of it feels so surreal. You know what I'm saying? And
Yeah,
crazy thing is that I was so nervous yet so excited because for such a long time you get there. In my matric year or my first year at varsity, it's like the guys that are playing are your idols, are guys that you've never
definitely.
think of stepping on the same field with. And a couple of years later, you get the opportunity to play beside them, and all you want to do is make the team proud, make the players proud, and make the badge proud. You know what I'm saying? You
Yeah.
don't want to fail the badge. You want to fail your teammates as well. So there's that type of pressure that comes, but at the same time, there's this excitement of what an amazing opportunity that God has blessed me with. You know what I'm saying?
Is there a specific moment in the game that you vividly remember, and you're probably going to remember it for the rest of your life? Or was it maybe a tackle that you made, or a pass? What's that moment that kind of made you proud and say, you know what, I might have actually arrived?
So there's two moments for me actually.
Mhm.
The one moment was it was about 20, no, like 15 minutes into the second half.
Sure.
And I remember our manager looks at me and he's like, Vincent, warm up. And in that moment, like everything inside me, like froze for a second. I was literally like, what on earth is happening right now? And for a second, I didn't do anything. Like for a second, I froze. And I was
Yeah.
like, okay, let's get this party started. And I
Yeah. Now you play as a flank, right?
started my warm up. Point would be, yes, yes.
Yeah.
And the first thing I was looking forward to is making my first contribution. And I was a
Sure.
little bit nervous, obviously at the time. So I'm like, Flip, I need to either carry a ball or make a tackle, but I need to do something to get myself into
Yeah.
the game. You know what I'm saying? And
Yeah.
like 2 minutes into that, I made my first tackle, and it wasn't as horrific and as terrible as I thought it would be.
Did you miss?
Oh my gosh, I can actually do this. And that gave me more confidence into going into that game and into every other game that I played as well. So it's always one of the first things I do when I get into a game, try to get a contribution in, whether it's a tackle or whether it's a carry, as soon as possible,
Yeah.
just get me into the game.
Yeah. You're born in the DRC, right? And I can definitely tell you that even here in SA, particularly us, people of color, rugby is not a popular sport, especially amongst our parents. They tell you this is dangerous, and they're kicking you around, they're tackling you around. How were your parents' response? When you kind of decided that mom or dad, I want to play rugby now.
It's actually funny that you asked us because, but honestly, that is what you said is 100% true. Because what happened with me was, obviously, I played high school rugby for fun, and that was all for the fun of the game. And then I got a
Yeah,
40% scholarship to study at UJ.
yeah.
And but rugby was very time. And then obviously, I got invited to the Lions and the 19 side to join as on a trial period.
Hmm.
And then rugby very time consuming, and my parents were just like, Vince, stop. This game is it's taking you away from your studies, taking you away from your books. Just stop rugby. It's fine. We'd rather pay for your school fees than you play rugby. You know what I'm saying? And it
Yeah.
took so much convincing, and they weren't convinced by me. Then I had to get my coach involved and please talk to my parents because they're about to make me quit. And it's like it's a real thing. You know what I'm saying? Because for them, it's just like rugby isn't something that could it's possible for a career, if that makes sense. It's outside
Mm.
their realm of norm. So
Yeah.
I understand where they come from, but for me as a young person that's been playing rugby for the past 5 years, it's like this is my dream. This is what I want to chase. This is what I love and want to pursue. So and eventually I got them to bend the arm. And they supported me, and they've always been supportive. But I guess it was just at that moment where it was either like my rugby career was kind of make me sacrifice my academic career, and that's when they kind of were
Yeah.
like, "Whoa, okay, maybe you should stop."
Yeah. Yeah. Now you play as a flank, and you play for a really good team like the Golden Lions. They have some of the best flanks in the country. Is there any one of the players or anyone in the Super Rugby that you model your game after?
I wouldn't say there's anyone that I model my game after, but there's characteristics in quite a few players that I take and I look to incorporate in my game as well. So,
Yeah.
you know, obviously coming from the junior ranks, there were players like Warren Whiteley that I looked up to, Carl Brink that I looked up
Yeah.
to. Quacker Smith that I looked up to as well, and those are the type of players I'm like. I don't want to be them, but they
Yeah.
have characteristics. I'm just like, Flip, if I could, I would love to be able to do this, and then I'll take a little bit of something else from another player. It's like, yeah, if I can just take a little bit of this and a little bit of that, and all incorporate that in my game, it will help me a world. You know what I'm saying? So it's like that's exactly what I did. I took a little bit of this from Warren, a little bit of that from Kyle, and as much as I possibly could, and I kind of built it and made my own game.
Being such a young player, it must be really awesome to be working with a manager like Coach De Bruin. How has that experience been for you? You know, he has huge amounts of experience in the game, and you as a young guy coming in, having to have him as your manager. How's that? You know, having him in the dressing room. How is he like even in the dressing room?
The brain was he's a genius. To
Yeah,
start off,
definitely, yeah.
he's a genius. You know, he knows the game, and you know he understands it, and he's able to identify weakness and strengths as well. So it was always great learning from him, and you know working with him. And yeah, as a person, I respect him, and we have a great relationship as well. So he's the person that gave me my first opportunity to
Yeah.
start with. So I'm forever grateful for that.
Yeah. You are just 20 years old now. Where do you see yourself in the near future? What kind of impact do you want to make in South African rugby and maybe internationally?
I'm actually currently 22.
22. Yeah.
I'm 22. Um, the future, the goal is always to play to represent the country and play in the green and gold jersey.
Yeah.
That has been, you know, it's crazy because coming from Northcliff, it's nearly a thing that you wouldn't even dare to dream of such a
Definitely.
goal,
Yeah.
such a thing, right? Because it's so far. It seems so far from possible, and you know, I've been in a blessed and fortunate position where 4 years down the line, you know, I'm able to make that my goal, and I'm able to make that my dream. So, yeah, that's definitely the dream, you know, to play in the green and gold and to be part of a winning World Cup team like in the team in 2019 as well. It's like there's nothing that is the best, the highest accolade that you could possibly get in the game. And you know, if that's not the dream, then why are you playing? If you get what I'm saying.
Definitely. Before I let you go, Vince, I'm going to ask you one question. The foxtrot or the tango? Which one can you still do?
Actually, I can't. I don't remember either of those, but I still have the chapter. I still
The
have the
cha-cha.
one and the jive. I can do a little bit of the jive still this day.
You know what? Thank you so much for joining us, man. And we wish you all the best of luck. And looking forward to seeing you in the green and gold representing the country. And thank you so much for joining us on Friday Night Sports.
Thank you very much for having me. I really do appreciate it. Enjoy.
Cheers. That was Vincent Tsitshuka, Northcliff former student, now plays for the Golden Lions. Thank you for having me today. I've been standing in for Dakir Daud. He's out in Durban. He's covering a rugby match. You know, I'm not sure what it is, but I will catch up with him and hope he's having a nice time. I'm pretty sure next week he'll be returning, and I'll go back to being in the background there. But that is it for the Friday Night Sports edition for this week. Up next, Friday Night with ST continues. He'll be joined by an amazing boxer. He goes by the name of Sean. Really interesting story behind it. But for now, I'm going to go on a quick ad break, and ST will be back with you after this.